Hello everyone and welcome back to English 1510, course A1235 for a 12-week semester in fall of 23. This online asynchronous course continuing into the 10th week. A couple of quick reminders here for you guys. The upcoming pieces, you have the research summary with working thesis and diagnostic rewrites, both due the evening of the posting of this video, the 20th. Starting off your week, there will not be anybody in terms of having classes face-to-face on the 20th or 21st, but we typically are all, there's still people at the college, and there are also, answering messaging and things like that for the Monday and Tuesday. I have these posted up here with the submission dates. I'm noting to everyone I moved these an additional day, gave everybody an additional day on these. On the rhetorical analysis final draft, I pushed that to the 21st. Everyone does have, in this section, everyone has a feedback file completed for the summary and outline that you submitted. And for those of you who did the rough draft submission to the discussion board, you have your peer edit feedback there. So you should be moving forward with these. I put a note here on the week 10 for this overview posting. I have only had access to most of this grading platform, the Turnitin platform, most of it, not all. It is getting more consistent since the 10th of November, but that is the first date that I actually had access to this platform where it didn't either dismiss or fail to load most, if not all, of the grade marks and different things with the commentary, including the files themselves. This was in addition to issues with you guys having file submissions, so there was a little point of confusion there for a few of you. It was not, we sorted out most of the file submission things with students submitting Word documents correctly, rather than putting in things like PDFs or Pages files and Google Docs, making sure that they're Word documents and they're readable and openable on this side. That's not the same issue as having no grading platform. That means on my end with IT, it hasn't been loading, but it is, since the 10th, it has been pretty consistent. So I've been working to post, repost, or finalize the remainder of the grades. Continue to move forward with the assignments on these. Just remember, with this, there's little to nothing that I can do about those earlier on in the term. For some students, you had everything posted all at once or around the same time. For others, they did have incremental posts that matched the timelines of submissions, and then other students, you got everything in a load of posting later on. I just pushed a few more through yesterday and the day before. But please continue moving forward with the current work on rhetorical analysis for your final submission there, and your research summary and working thesis from last week. The remainder of memoir final drafts will be posted between the 21st and the 28th of November. I kept the memoir rewrite Dropbox open long enough for students to have at least 2 weeks on there. You'll see here in the calendar on the right, I have it up until the 12th of December. So if there's anything that goes sideways with that, which I don't foresee anything additional, as long as that platform remains open to me, I should be able to get the rest of those posted on there. The rough draft and summary outline are just going to have to be grades for this section. For 2 of the online sections, that's going to have to be the case, because there was no way for me to do a face-to-face grade and read through on these like I did with some of my face-to-face courses. Switching it up because of that grading platform. But so for this, I pushed all these dates to do one of 2 things. For this week, where it was loaded up from the prior on week 8 or week 9, the summary with working thesis, I moved that and the diagnostic rewrites from Sunday to Monday at 11:30 to give people an additional day on that, and I moved the final draft of the rhetorical analysis to Tuesday, the 21st. So everyone has at least a review of this message on top of that feedback. But the summary and outline feedbacks for the rhetorical analysis for this course, I believe I had everyone's back on the 10th, once I got access to the grading platform, 10th or 11th for pretty much this entire class. As soon as I had access, I was able to go through and post most of those. So make sure that you guys review that, do your final draft on there. Now, last week, We had the videos that were assigned in the content file above, starting off with your getting to know your library and web search versus research. And then in the summary and working thesis that's due this evening, the 20th, you guys have the summary and working thesis from that prior Dropbox. Remember, that was this Dropbox. Had an additional video on here, additional instructions on the assignment itself, and for everyone in the class, we also had the downloaded document here. This is what you were completing. This document itself, you're filling this in full sentences. You're writing in third person objective viewpoint. That means no first or second person, folks. I already have a few submissions on this, and you're writing I and we and me and our. That is first and second person usage. We want third person only, talking about the topic. Some of you are still asking questions in the writing that you're doing. That's still a form of second person. You're writing third person objective statements, not asking questions on these. Make sure that you take your time and do these thoroughly only once you've done some of that preliminary research. I posted the articles on the home page of D2L under your guys' course schedule so you'd have an idea of some of those, but it is your job to go through on this assignment, go into those library databases, search your topic that you select out of those options there, pick peer-reviewed, full-text available article sources, go through and start selecting yours so that you have viable research there to build your ideas off of and start presenting them this is going to be an essay form that has an abstract at the beginning. I'm not making you guys adhere to a true report format where you'd have the abstract methods, discussion, those kinds of things in there. You're doing the essay in a standard format essay of an argumentative style where you're presenting the evidence on one side. I'm sorry, on both sides. You're not doing this where you're arguing back and forth. It's just objective research, but the claim structures still apply. Okay, so we're going through these. If you complete this in total, you'll have the majority of content for your intro paragraph when this is done. And the thesis statement down here, if it's complete, if it is a truly explicit thesis, you should also have named at least some variation of your subtopics or potential subtopics in that thesis. Now, that is for the last week's one. Now, this document here is what we're going to be working on for this upcoming on the 27th. The primary points of support with preliminary work cited. For the summary and working thesis, you didn't have to have the work cited with it, but you should be starting your research on those. For the primary points of support, if the summary and working thesis is done, you will essentially have completed most of your intro paragraph and working thesis. This should be the topic sentences, third person objective topic sentences that would begin your body paragraphs. If you determine that you're going to need 4 body paragraphs, then by all means add an additional one here and just complete it in the same fashion as the other requirements. And make sure that you keep this in the formatting that's already here on the page. Okay, just the preliminary work cited, it has to be in MLA format, and make sure I already have all these documents formatted correctly. If you download them as is, they should still maintain that format. In this instance, read through these directions, move the works cited heading below to the top of the next page, and then include a minimum of 10 MLA formatted peer-reviewed full text available sources from the OCC databases and the research. Now, that means that you're going to be putting your cursor here, simple enough, move it to the start of the next page. That's after you've written these in, folks, because these will expand depending on how long your sentences are. If they're 2-3 lines long, this is going to expand them down. That's so that I can edit and grade this, make comments on it in the Turnitin platform on those sentences, and that obviously will move this category down. So after you've completed these, then you move this heading down here, and you begin with your first entry. Hanging indent, MLA citation, all those things, okay? Now, I'm going to put one example on here for you guys to see. Let's say I'm beginning with something like on my primary page. If I go back to the home page here and for our 10th week, this week we're doing primary points of support. I still have this listed on here, what's due today, the summary and outline, summary and working thesis. along with the diagnostic rewrite. Remember, that's optional, but I do have that still open until this evening, 11:30, for any of you who are still submitting one of those. That's been many weeks now that's been available to you guys, and that feedback file's been posted for several, about a month, 2 months for most of you. Rhetorical analysis final draft by Tuesday, and again, all the summary and working thesis were already, summary and outline was already posted with feedback. Rough drafts, remember, those were to be done as peer edits in the discussion board, and you have that feedback from class as a peer review. So if we were going to do something from one of these lists, remember that here your objective here is all you're reading is once you've selected a topic, like last week, this is continued from week 9, after you've chosen your research topic, you're going to be going to the OCC databases. I added this little parenthetical, using student services above, because despite putting this on the prior 2 videos and showing you guys this at the beginning of the term 2 weeks ago and last week, I still have students asking where the library function and search is at. Also, folks, these are also covered in the videos that you guys are supposed to watch the last week and this week, the last 2 weeks, and you're also supposed to be familiar with that prior to taking an online course. You had the online readiness that walked you through these things. I should not have to put further instruction on here like this. This shows that you really, you truly weren't ready for an online class. But those student services up here for a library search, if we were to go here and click on that, it takes us externally to this page. If I wanted to put in one of my topics like music therapy or media literacy, if I put one of these in here and I hit enter and I do a selection on here and I get to media literacy as my topic, before I start using any sources for my reviews, I do full text available and peer-reviewed journals only, so that I make sure I'm getting selectively peer-reviewed, meaning that they're not something that's just been posted that's in pre-review or is common in the literature, or something that's just available through databases because someone's published it, right? Most of the items you'll find excuse me, through these databases are legitimate sources in one form or another, but that doesn't mean that they've been through excuse me, peer review. So once we have this peer review and full text available, now we know that these sources have been through a metric of peer review, so we know they're credible sources with credible information that we can cite. After we finish with that, and we've searched one of our topics, let's say that you did pick something like media literacy. On these ones that I had for your guys' perusal, I put one of these up for each one of these categories to give you an example, but you should have started searching through some of your own as well. Let's say this is the one we ended up using, and I have my first research piece here on media literacy, and if I wanted to cite this, I have the DOI here. There's also a citation function. But if I use this one right here, spreadable spectacle and digital culture, I can grab the citation function from here, and I can use my citation function on this one and copy the citation like this. So this would be my format on this one. I can take that from there and do copy of citation. Or if I searched it in my database here, I'm not going to go back through and search all the pages that led me to that one. I'm just going to copy and paste my title back in here. Put it back through. I see it comes up as a peer-reviewed even with those selections because I already had that monitored on there. I select this file. I click citation and I want MLA 8th edition. See, it already has it formatted where it's removed the hyperlink, which I do not need. I can do a copy here, or I can do copy citation to the clipboard if you're going to use a clipboard function. If this is the way that I'm doing this, then I'm going here to my primary points of support. I will copy and paste. I'm going to paste this in as is. I am going to then go back and I'm going to use my selections on this page to change it back to Times New Roman 12-point font, and I'm going to make sure that I've maintained my double spacing on here, and I don't want to have any after spacing, so double spacing is all. And then at each of my lines below here, these have to be hanging indents. And I'd start my other ones over after that. Okay? That's the assignment due for this week, folks. I look forward to seeing the rest of the work. And again, I